For an elite ninja in the world of Naruto, passing on their knowledge about ninjutsu and the shinobi world is something that can be seen as a bit of a rite of passage. Some do this by passing on their beliefs, lessons learned, and their ninja way to their gaining teams that they lead. Others take the less desirable approach and teach future ninja while they're still at the academy. Naruto Uzumaki is no different in that regard. In fact, in the time after the events of Naruto the Last, Naruto Uzumaki actually taught as an academy teacher, which is very ironic given the fact that Naruto is hands down the worst behaved student in academy history. Karma is a bitch, in order to paraphrase for a second. However, just how exactly was somebody like Naruto, somebody whose brain cells don't really have two quarters to rub together and isn't exactly the most book smart person in the world, actually teach a classroom of young and impressionable academy students? Well, about a year ago, I talked to you guys about why Naruto taught at the academy before becoming Hokage, but I never actually took you into the classroom setting where everyone's favorite hyperactive knuckleheaded ninja was actually teaching inside the classroom. So in this latest installment of After Naruto Shippuden, we're going to be taking a look at how Naruto taught at the academy, in particular in a classroom setting. Now, the purpose of these videos is to fill in a lot of the major gaps that exist in the story that anime only fans are basically unaware of in a lot of cases, and even some of the most hardcore Naruto fans have no idea that this stuff happened. So in this instance, the information is actually going to be given to us from the Sakura novel, Love Riding the Spring Breeze. Now, to add context to this scene, Sakura has taken a page out of Hinata's book, so she's spying on Naruto from the shadows, and she's been watching from a distance as Naruto carries out his lessons at the academy during one of the brief moments where Naruto was not away on a high-profile mission or attending some big meeting that he had to attend, because at this time Naruto was still being groomed to be the next Hokage. Now, the events of this scene are almost 1 year after the Naruto versus Toneri battle, and Naruto's fame has grown impossibly ever since then. Now, what makes this scene so special is the fact that Naruto is teaching at the academy, despite the fact that Naruto has never been promoted to chunin or jonin. I know. Naruto Shippuden had that scene where Kakashi conditionally promoted Naruto to jonin, with the big loophole that a lot of people leave out is the fact that Naruto has to pass all the required intellectual tests, but we all know Naruto ain't studying no books. That's the reason why in the Naruto the Last Data book, Masashi Kishimoto wrote that Naruto was still a genin, and in the Boruto anime, Naruto even says himself, like, yeah, I didn't really go through the ninja ranks. Like, I was a genin and they just made me Hokage. So you might ask, so if this is the case, then why was Naruto ever allowed to teach at the academy in the first place? Like, can you imagine being a parent and say, this guy's teaching your student? Like, this guy who got all F's at the academy, failed the academy graduation exam 3 times? Are you really gonna let him anywhere near your students? I don't know right there. Again, we just gotta kind of pump the brakes for a second, because this is really cool. So the reason why Naruto got that pass is that by this point in the timeline, everyone had already acknowledged the fact that Naruto possessed the power to be Hokage. I mean, the dude casually showed, just using the power of the QB, that he was able to put major cracks on the moon when he was fighting against Toneri. So surely doing a little paperwork would be enough for Naruto to handle, am I right? Well, the major concern that both Kakashi and Tsunade had about Naruto is that despite his massive power, Naruto still wasn't mature enough to be Hokage. Though by the events of this scene, Naruto had made amazing strides. However, deep inside of Naruto still rested that young boy who would randomly play pranks for attention, and he would take a great deal of time to figure out how to express how he truly felt in some situations. So as a better way to prepare Naruto for his future position as Hokage, it was decided during the time that when Naruto wasn't on high-level missions or attending those important meetings, that Naruto would pass on his knowledge to the next generation by teaching at the academy. It was so important for Naruto to see the young faces of the children who he would one day assign missions to when they became adults. Not only that, but he would also be leading a village where these academy students would one day have children of their own attending the academy. Naruto needed to see firsthand what the king was that the shinobi had to protect. However, unlike Shikamaru, he didn't have anyone who taught him this lesson via shogi, but instead, Naruto would learn this lesson by bonding with the students that he taught. So what I'll do now is cover the scene in question, then I'll come back to you guys my thoughts about this excerpt from the Sakura novel, which I'll leave down in the description box for anyone who wants to read the novel and help support the channel. So it's here I'm going to begin quoting. Sakura Sakura looked over at the teacher giving the lesson. Oh, it's Naruto. Come on, you guys. Don't just go through the motions. I mean, seriously. You actually have to think about the next attack and get yourself ready, you know. Sakura had heard that Naruto began teaching at the academy after the 4th grade ninja war as a special lecturer. The longer she watched him, the more Sakura realized that Naruto's actually doing an excellent job. Hey you! When you're done, make sure you read the sign of reconciliation. Whether you're strong or you're weak or whatever, you know, it's just a ninja rule. You gotta do that thing. Sakura noticed that the students who did not follow Naruto's instructions received a sharp hit on the head. Sakura approved. Oh Naruto, you were like that too, way back then. Sakura told herself in her head as she smiled softly at Naruto. After he gave his instructions to the students, Naruto had them lined up and bowed his head to them. End quote. So what really fascinates me here is the fact that Naruto quickly shifts gears from being the observant teacher who encourages his students to being the firm disciplinarian, knocking his students over the head, just as Iruka had to do to Naruto countless times, and we ain't even gotta keep track of how many times Sakura hit this dude in the anime. In the manga, it wasn't as much. I did a video breaking that down, why Sakura hits Naruto, but you guys can check that out at your own leisure. However, it's very ironic that the former class clown is now the one who upholds the rules and keeps the unruly members of his classroom in check. However, what this does show is that when given a small bit of a responsibility, Naruto is now at the point where he's starting to take things seriously because he knows he has eyes on him wherever he goes, especially when he conducts these classes. His Hokage dream is now well within his reach, and it's time for the boy who once played pranks to now become the young man steering the next generation along their path to becoming ninjas. It's also very important for Naruto to look into these young faces of future ninjas so that when he did become Hokage and did start assigning missions, the names on the ninja registry were more than just a photo or a ninja registration ID. The ninja that Naruto sent off into potentially life-ending missions could have well been one of his former students at the academy, which is what Naruto needed in order to fully grasp the severity of his role as Hokage. So what did you guys think about this? How do you feel about Naruto as an academy teacher, and do you wish something like this would have been adapted in Naruto Shippuden? Let me know down in the comment section below, but that's gonna be it for this newest installment of After Naruto Shippuden. As always, guys, if you like anything I had to say, don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. Have an awesome day, guys.